conversations about the most current issues in IT operations with the most current people in IT operations. And today we have with us Elik Eizenberg, Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of BigPanda. Hey, Elik.
Hi, Olam. Really good to be here.
It's great to have you. So in our conversation today, we're going to talk about a topic that I know is close to your heart and is related to the latest release of BigPanda, root cause changes in software and in infrastructure that cause service disruptions and outages. So let's dive directly into it. Would it be fair to say that changes are one of the most biggest challenges that IT operations face today?
Absolutely. Whenever something breaks in your IT environment, I would say most of the times it broke because something changed in your environment. Somebody changed something in a database setting, somebody deployed some new code, somebody provisioned a new server, somebody changed something, and this is why it broke.
So it's no longer about hardware malfunctions, it's about software.
No, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if you had some outage in an application, the prime suspects would have been maybe some network devices having some malfunctions and you have some network timeouts or packet losses, or maybe you had some storage array that is failing and now you have corrupt data. But honestly, this is going away now with the cloud migration, with a lot of built-in failover in hardware devices. So hardware is no longer the issue. Actually, root causes are moving up the stack. They're moving into the application layer. And when they move into the application layer, the main cause of issues why applications break is because of changes. Somebody has changed something. And as a result, things are not working as they used to.
And this is a big issue, right? I mean, Facebook had its biggest ongoing outage back in March because somebody changed the server somewhere. Google had it back in June. This is a really, really big issue, right?
Yeah, we ask our customers, some of our customers have done a lot of postmortems around their recent changes and recent outages. They assign every outage to the root cause. And we ask them what % of your root causes is actually changes in the environment. And the range that I get from our customers is 60% to 90% of incidents are caused by changes. Gartner actually provides a figure where they say 85% of incidents can be traced back to changes in the customer's environment.
85% of outages are related to changes. But changes, in a sense, are the way that we work today, right? Today we're talking about fast-moving IT, about constantly developing, constantly changing. It's part of our life. It's not something that we should try to solve.
Yeah, change on itself is awesome, right? Change is what allows us to push code to production, which means that we deliver new features and new capabilities to our end users and customers. It allows us to deliver innovation. It allows us to make changes that to make our IT environment adapt to what our business needs are. So changes are on their own. Changes are amazing. Changes is what allows us, our modern companies, to move fast and react to their competitors. The problem is that while changes are really effective in driving all of these things we discussed, they also create a lot of production issues, a lot of outages and incidents, and this is where it becomes a real challenge to operations teams and DevOps teams.
But we can't avoid them, right? We all know that everybody has planned changes. This is something ongoing for many years now, right? But people plan changes ahead.
Yeah, so in the past we kind of had a change approval board, and once a week you'd have some maintenance window planned for 5 p.m. on a Monday. You're going to do a change. It's going to be approved with the change management process that used to work 15 years ago. But today we have so many other sources of changes that occur outside of the change management process. So it becomes really hard to control changes. And honestly, I wouldn't advise any customer to try to control change. What you need to do is embrace change and find ways to keep the uptime of your system without stopping changes.
Yeah, and so these changes that you're talking about today, we're talking about, right, automatic scaling changes. What else? Continuous delivery. That would be changes, right? Probably.
Yeah, I like to classify 4 types of changes in most environments. The first type is change management, which we have just discussed. This still exists in most enterprises, and still a big portion of your changes are going to go through the change management process. Number 2 is CI/CD, continuous delivery, continuous integration, where engineers essentially push code to production thousands of times a day. Then number 3, this is what I call auto orchestration, right? This is essentially where Maybe you're deploying a fleet of 50 containers in your Kubernetes, and they just get orchestrated automatically without any human being being involved in the process of deploying these new servers. Or you might have auto scaling, right? You might have high load on some business application, maybe behind a load balancer, and now the cloud automatically provisions 5 new instances of that application to handle the load. And then number 4 is what I call shadow changes. This is essentially all the changes that occur in your environment without your knowledge at all, right? They don't go through CI/CD, they don't go through change management, they're not part of orchestration systems. Just somebody connecting to a server doing a change, somebody connecting to your DNS doing a change. But these changes are often the root cause of issues, and you have to find a way to get visibility towards these shadow changes just as well.
Yeah, these shadow changes sound scary. I think there's a separate conversation that we could have on that. So what you're saying is change in essence is pretty much the way that we work. Everybody's experiencing these outages because of these changes. Large companies, small companies, we all know about it. We know the dangers, and yet for some reason, this is sort of like the elephant in the NOC. It's still the number one challenge today in IT operations, and we're not really solving it. Why is that?
Yeah, so I think a big part of modernization has been kind of reinventing how kind of historical paradigms of doing things. Like we have reinvented how we handle hardware and network devices, right? We moved to the cloud, we moved to containers. That's a big paradigm shift. And we've done the same with software. We went to microservices from large monolithic applications, and we do CI/CD instead of kind of maintenance with those. So a lot has changed in how we orchestrate systems, how we deploy software. But unfortunately, the paradigms that we use to operate those environments are still the same paradigms we've used 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And we need a full paradigm shift around how we handle changes and how we tie changes to incidents in your production environments that requires new tools and new thinking as well.
So we're not working with the right tools. Is that what you're saying? The systems have moved forward 21st century, whereas the tools that deliver, that deal with changes are stuck somewhere in the past. How do people challenge, take on changes today?
Yeah, the most extreme example I've seen is it's a big insurance company here in the U.S. and essentially what they're doing every morning before the day starts, they print out their change management logs, anything that is a planned change for today. They print it out on a big sheet of paper. Then they put the sheet of paper next to every operator in their NOC. And what they tell the NOC to do is essentially when you have an incident in your production environment, go through the sheet of paper, try to identify which planned change in your environment might be the root cause of that incident. And hopefully that will help us identify the change and resolve it as quickly as possible. The big challenge there is how I'm going to sift through hundreds or if not thousands of changes in this sheet of paper as a human being. That's just not doable. And also that sheet of paper is often out of date, right? Like I have many changes from all the different sources we discussed. Most of them are not represented in that one sheet of paper.
And you have to do this every day, over and over again. That sounds pretty much undoable. So what is let's say the BigPanda approach to changes? Have you said that you need a change in the way of thinking, a change in the paradigm? How does BigPanda approach changes?
Yeah, it's 2 things that we essentially do. The first one is around consolidation of data, right? So we essentially subscribe to all the different change feeds that you have in the organization. So we subscribe to change management. That's a great feed of data, but it's just, maybe 50% of your changes. Then we also subscribe to all of your CI/CD pipelines. If you have multiple ones, Jenkins, Bamboo CI, TeamCity, we subscribe to all of these, take all the CI/CD changes. We also subscribe to your cloud auditing tools like Azure Monitor and CloudTrail from AWS. So we see all the different changes in your cloud environments. We also connect to your orchestration tools like Ansible, Terraform, Chef, Puppet, and we see all the auto orchestration changes that occur in your environment, and we centralize all of them in just one place.
So you're collecting all the change tools, all the information from all the different change tools and presenting them in one screen where somebody can actually look at them and see how they are related to an incident or an alert.
Exactly. That's the first part, is the centralization of the data in one place, which no one really does today, and that's a big gap in visibility. But the second thing you realize once you centralize the data is that you actually have thousands, if not tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of changes every day. So a big part of the challenge is how, when I look at all the incidents I have every day, how can I cross-match them with the appropriate change that caused them? That on its own is a big problem. So this is where we introduced AI and machine learning technology to automatically identify which changes could be the root causes of incidents. And we automatically bubble up the suspicious changes to the operators, to the DevOps teams, saying here are the changes that are likely causes of this incident.
So first of all, you're collecting all the changes from all the tools, which nobody's doing today, and then you use AI and ML to surface which of them are the root cause change. And so what would you say to people who say, well, we've heard about AI and ML and we don't trust it that much?
Yeah, good point. I think a traditional AI system essentially will tell you, we think this is the root cause. We have no idea why, or we know why, but it's represented in this huge matrix of numbers in a neural network or a decision tree. And there's no way for you, Mr. Operator, Mr. Director of IT, application developer, to understand why we arrived at this conclusion. So it's very hard for you to trust the system and drive your actions on top of that. So what we do, we employ a system called open box machine learning. And essentially what we do, when you see a change that was marked as a suspicious change in your environment, we actually explain to you why we think it's the root cause. The system actually articulates the reasoning behind its recommendation, and that allows the operator to consume the decision and drive a real action, a real insight on top of that decision. That is very unique to our technology, and that drives a lot of trust and transparency that, to me, are required if you want to adapt an AI, a modern AI tool.
So what you offer for the engineers is first collecting everything and putting them in one screen. Second of all is surfacing the probable root cause, and then also explaining it to him why you chose it and allow him to, like, the transparency into the decision to have him trust the system.
That's a perfect way to put it.
That sounds actually pretty awesome. I think the natural next question would be, this has been launched, does it work?
Yeah, so it's been launched a couple of weeks ago. We've tested it for almost a year now with many beta testers. Some of the biggest enterprises in the world have tested it. They report not only that the technology works, but also that it actually drives real business value, right? People actually see reduction in time to resolution. They actually see their uptime going up. They see their SLAs improving, their SLOs improving. So it's actually works in some really complex real-world environments. And we invite everyone in the audience that wants to do kind of a proof of concept with BigPanda. You can actually test this based on your real data, see that the proposed root cause changes are actually real root cause changes that drive real value to your organization.
That's pretty exciting. I think you've piqued a lot of people's interest right now, so maybe this would be a good place to stop and leave a call to action at the end, some sort of suspense. I want to thank you so much for your time and being here.
Thank you, Yoram. I really enjoyed this.
I enjoyed this as well. And for all of you who are still watching, thank you for bearing with us. If you want to learn more about root cause changes or BigPanda in general, please watch our other Big Talk videos or go to bigpanda.io where there's a lot of great content about the system. Until next time, see you later.